Hello and welcome to this retrospective look back at On the Buses, the classic 1970s British sitcom, had to say that carefully, about the working life of a downtrodden bus driver and his family and friends. I'm RetroSteveUK, and in this video we're going to be looking into the history of the show and its various movie and TV spin-offs. We're looking into the characters, some crossovers from the time. We'll be exploring how we can watch it now. There'll be a few of your memories in the featured comment section, and to finish up with, we'll have a look together at some memorable clips from the show. So let's take a deep dive now into this 1970s TV time capsule, although admittedly I originally watched the reruns in the 80s. And as always, you can skip around to different parts of the video if you need to by using the chapter markers that I've placed along the video timeline. On the Buses was originally a London weekend television production broadcast on ITV between 1969 and 1973. There were 7 seasons in total, plus 3 movies, and 2 additional spin-off TV shows as well, which to be honest I'd never heard of until I started researching for this video. The show is set around the lives of workers at the fictional Luxton and District Traction Company bus depot, and most of the scenes take place at the depot and at the home of one of the main characters, Stan Butler, so we get an often comic insight into the home and working life of Stan, his family, his co-workers and his managers. It's a heavily working class setting which went down well with everyday viewers at the time, and the humour often leans into a bawdy, saucy seaside postcard style, which can cause a bit of cringe now and again when viewed with a modern eye. However, this type of comedy was commonplace at the time. All you have to do is look at any of the Carry On films and you'll see exactly what I mean.
Oh, what a lovely looking pair.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
That aside, the comedy in general hits well, and the slapstick situational humour is still just as funny today as it was back in the 1960s, 70s and 80s, and in my opinion deserves a place in the archives amongst other timeless comedy TV shows. On the Buses featured a memorable cast of actors and lovable characters, so we're going to take a quick look now at a selection of the main characters and the actors who played them. Stan Butler was arguably the lead character in On the Buses, a bus driver who lives with his mum, his sister and his brother-in-law. He's a single man who's portrayed as having a number of different girlfriends throughout the show's run, and is often seen vying for the attention of his attractive young co-workers. Stan is played by Reg Varney, an actor and music hall entertainer who was also known for his roles in other 1960s sitcoms, including The Rag Trade and Beggar My Neighbour. Reg was 53 when On the Buses began filming. He was born in 1916 and passed away in 2008 at the age of 92. Jack Harper is Stan's best friend and works as the bus conductor on Stan's bus. The two of them are often seen getting into trouble together and are as bad as each other in that respect, and there's a friendly rivalry between them too, which Jack sometimes takes too far, occasionally leaving Stan at a disadvantage. Jack is played by Bob Grant, who funnily enough worked as a bus driver during his early days as an actor. He started out mainly as a theatre performer before moving into film and TV and dabbling with screenwriting. Bob was 37 when filming began. He was born in 1932 and died in 2003 at the age of 71. Cyril Blake, better known as Blakey, is the pedantic inspector in charge of the day-to-day running of the bus depot. Often seen chasing after Stan and Jack, trying to catch them up to no good, Blakey was one of those love-hate type characters, as sometimes you'd dislike him for his job's worth approach, and sometimes you'd feel sorry for him having to bear the brunt of Jack and Stan's mischief. Blakey was played by Stephen Lewis, who worked in a number of skilled manual labour jobs before embarking on his acting career. He was also known for his work as a director and screenwriter, as well as eventually playing the role of Smiler Hemingway in the BBC's Last of the Summer Wine. Stephen was 43 when he started playing Blakey. He was born in 1926 and passed away in 2015 at the age of 89. Olive Rudge was Stan's sister, who shared a home with him, their mother and her husband Arthur. She was portrayed as a clumsy, unattractive young woman whose apparently loveless marriage to Arthur was always a mystery, as despite occasional attempts by Olive at intimacy, the two of them were often seen as being at odds with each other. Olive was played by Anna Karen, who during her early days as an actor worked in a restaurant kitchen and supplemented her income by dancing in a nightclub. She's also acted in a wide variety of TV roles, including Aunt Sal in BBC's EastEnders up until 2017, as well as having parts in 2 of the Carry On movies, with appearances in Carry On Camping and Carry On Loving. Anna was 33 when she first appeared in On the Buses. She was born in 1936, and tragically she died in a house fire in 2022 at the age of 85 after falling asleep with a lit cigarette. Arthur Rudge was Olive's husband and Stan's brother-in-law, a snobbish, hypocritical man who started out as a lodger in the Butler household, but was pressured into marrying Olive by her mother after he inadvertently got into her bed in the middle of the night. Arthur was played by Michael Robbins, who started his working life as a bank clerk, but took up professional acting after developing a flair for it whilst dabbling with amateur dramatics. He also had parts in TV shows including The Good Life, George and Mildred, Heidi High, and One Foot in the Grave. Michael was 39 when On the Buses first aired. He was born in 1930 and he passed away in 1992 at the age of 62. Mabel Ethel Butler was Stan and Olive's mum. She's the boss of the household, in charge of the housekeeping and bills, and often acts as a peacekeeper, intervening in arguments that erupt in the household, and she's a woman of high moral fibre, disapproving of what she considers to be modern promiscuity. Mabel was played by two different actresses. In Series 1 by Cicely Courtnidge, an Australian-born actress who was 76 at the time, and passed away in 1980 at age 87. From Series 2 onward, Mabel was played by Doris Hare, a Welsh actress and singer who was 64 when she first appeared in On the Buses. She was born in 1905 and died in the year 2000 at aged 95. A grand total of 74 episodes of On the Buses were aired over 7 seasons between 1969 and 1973, with reruns showing on British TV for decades afterwards. The show was initially broadcast in black and white, as was quite common until the early to mid-1970s before colour TV was widely adopted in British homes. Colour episodes were introduced during the third season in 1970, and these are the ones you'll commonly see repeated on TV stations now. The show's memorable theme tune remained the same for the entire run of all 7 seasons, with the only change being a speeding up of the tempo for Season 2, for reasons which probably went to the grave with the production staff. 3 more theme tunes came along with the introduction of each of the spin-off movies that accompanied the last 3 seasons. The first of 3 spin-off films produced by Hammer Film Productions was simply called On the Buses and released in 1971. The story revolves around Stan's fear of losing his overtime when the company decides to employ female bus drivers to ease their staff shortage. To help with their financial burdens at home, clumsy Olive gets a job in the staff canteen and of course chaos ensues. She has to resign, however, after discovering she's pregnant, and this further increases Stan's money worries. Stan and Jack spend most of the film trying to orchestrate ways to make the female drivers look bad, and their plans ultimately work, with the company backtracking on their new policy. However, the punchline to this sorry debacle is that women are now going to be taken on as inspectors, much to Jack and Stan's disdain, so they both threaten to resign if this goes ahead. But a randy Stan does some backtracking of his own after he lays his eyes on the new Clippy who's going to be working on his bus. The second film, Mutiny on the Buses, arrived in 1972. Stan falls in love with a Clippy named Susie and promises to marry her so they can move into a flat together. This is put on hold, however, when Arthur loses his job and Stan's wages become the family's only income. Meanwhile, at the depot, a new manager has plans to increase profits by making the drivers work harder and longer hours. Jack and Stan embark upon a series of mutinous actions to cause problems for Blakey and the new manager, which brings about a chain of events that lead to more overbearing practices and in turn more mutinous acts. Luckily for Stan, he gets a cushy, higher paid job within the company driving a safari park tour bus after he and Jack witness the new manager having an affair with one of the Clippies. Of course, true to form, Stan messes this up and the company loses the tour bus contract. Stan's loss of extra income upsets Susie, who will now have to wait even longer for her flat, and the last nail in the coffin for their relationship comes when Olive announces she's pregnant and Stan invites Susie to move in with them. The final punchline comes after the new manager is transferred to another depot, restoring the status quo, except that now Stan has to work with a new partner. It's Blakey, who's been demoted down from inspector to conductor. The third and final film, Holiday on the Buses, was released in 1973. After a series of serious mishaps involving Stan, Jack and Blakey, the 3 of them are sacked and find themselves looking for new jobs. After Jack spots a newspaper advert looking for a bus crew, the 2 of them apply and find themselves employed on the tour bus at Pontin's holiday camp. When they arrive, they're dismayed to find that Blakey has landed a job there as well as the security inspector. Thanks to Stan's staff discount, the family can now afford a holiday at Pontin's. However, tight-fisted Arthur refuses to pay for the train fare, so he bundles Olive, Mum and their toddler onto his motorbike and sidecar, which leads to the memorable scene where they crash on a bridge and all their luggage ends up in a river. There's a lovely story involving Blakey's romance with the camp's nurse and his side interest as an old-time dance teacher at the camp, and it goes without saying that Jack, Stan and the family get up to their usual slapstick antics, including a memorable, hilarious scene with an exploding toilet. By the film's end, Blakey has been sacked after a case of mistaken identity leads him to exploding in a fit of rage, and Jack and Stan both get the push after taking the bus out on a romantic evening drive and getting it stuck in the sand on a beach. The final scene has them both looking for new work at the Labour Exchange, and they come across Blakey, who now works at the Labour Exchange, and he gives Stan what he describes as the perfect job for someone who's always smashing things up. There were 2 TV show spin-offs that came along after On the Buses had finished its run. The first was Don't Drink the Water, a London weekend television production that ran for 2 seasons in 1974 and 75, with a total of 13 episodes. This was all about Blakey, who's now retired and wants to move out to Spain for a quieter life. He can't quite afford the move, so he has to persuade his sister Dorothy, played by Pat Coombs, to come with him and share the cost. The show also stars Derek Griffiths as the Spanish porter, and the comedy revolves around things not being quite as described in the brochure, and a pedantic Blakey being at odds with the lifestyle, in contrast with his sister who's much more accepting of the local customs. The show wasn't well received by critics and audiences at the time, but I'm sure some of you will fondly remember this. I personally had no idea it even existed until now. The second spin-off is another I'd never heard of. Lotsa Luck is an American show starring Dom DeLuise that was inspired by On the Buses. The format was sold to NBC and remade with a few slight changes for an American audience, but when you watch it, it's obvious the characters and scenarios are very close to their British counterparts. Only 1 season was made, consisting of 22 episodes between 1974 and 75, and it was cancelled after failing to achieve good enough ratings. It's never been shown in the UK, but if you're curious, you can watch episodes on YouTube, which someone has kindly uploaded, and I've put a link to that playlist in the description. It's also worth mentioning that On the Buses appeared as a comic strip in children's magazine Look-In between 1971 and 1974. Its first appearance was in the 7th of August 1971 issue, which featured a picture of Stan on the cover, pointing angrily at the reader, and the full-colour comic strip inside was a single-page adventure painted by comic book artist Harry North. In this first entry in the series, Blakey asks Jack and Stan to pick up the depot's wages because the governor's car has broken down. They stop off on the way to pick up a birthday present for Stan's mum, and discover to their horror that their bus has been stolen while they were in the shop. This serialised story continued weekly after that, and it obviously goes without saying that the adult humour would have been very much toned down for this children's comic strip. Seems like an odd choice now to make a show like this into a kid's comic, but it's worth remembering that this would have been family viewing back in the 1970s, so it's easy to understand the appeal of an On the Buses comic strip to a 10-year-old in 1971. If you're interested in watching old episodes of On the Buses today, it's quite easy to get hold of individual seasons on DVD, as well as collections of all 3 films. You can expect to pay about $5 for a trilogy of the films and about £4 for individual TV seasons, but as always with sites like eBay, it's worth taking your time to shop around so that you don't get stung unnecessarily. You can also get DVD copies of the other spin-off shows, Don't Drink the Water and Lots of Luck, but these are quite a bit rarer, so you're looking at about £40 for each of those. Of course, it goes without saying that some kind souls have uploaded episodes from all 3 TV shows to YouTube, which you can find in playlists, as I touched on earlier, and links to those are in this video's description. And while we're on the subject of buying stuff online, while I was searching around for DVDs and such, I came across this neat little online shop that specialises in selling On the Buses memorabilia. OnTheBusesShop.com is well worth a look, and they're selling clothing, mugs and coasters, badges and stickers, posters and assorted novelties, and after just a quick browse around the site, it's easy to see that this has been set up by someone with a real passion for the TV show. My personal favourite is the talking Blakey plushie that says 5 different phrases. That's made my day, that is. I asked on social media if any of you had On the Buses memories you wanted to share in this video, and sure enough, here's what a few of you had to say. From the community posts on my YouTube channel, Bren P remembers enjoying watching repeats of On the Buses in the 1980s and thinks it's still repeated on retro TV stations. It's very much a British thing of its time, and although many people would like to see it consigned to the past, like those old seaside postcards, it deserves to be remembered. It's simple humour that still tickles him, but he's glad it's not the only thing on the menu. Mr. Durkles remembers people at school spreading rumours about you fancying Olive, and the subsequent teasing that would go on for an eternity, which was hilarious as long as you weren't the victim. Adrian Glover's sister has a caravan in Prestatyn, and Holiday on the Buses was filmed at the Pontins there. They've been to all the main locations, like the bridge in Rhuddlan where the luggage went into the river, and a few other places. Adrian and his brother went on a tour with the fan club a few years ago, which was great fun. The Pontins is shut down now, and he went by recently to have a look, and seeing the gates where old Blakey got his foot trapped made him feel a bit sad. He still has the films though, which are of their time, but still a massive nostalgia hit. Andrew Johnston always thought On the Buses was poor compared to other shows at the time, and he's just not a fan of anything written by Chesney and Wolfe. Apparently that writing duo went on to make Romany Jones, which Andrew believes is considered one of the worst sitcoms of all time. Over on Instagram, Neil Poole at Nelly Fett was born after these came out but saw the repeats in the 1980s, as he was of an age that would have found that sort of humour funny. He thinks if he watched them now there'd be a lot of eye-rolling and cringing. Whether you could still make shows like this now is up for debate, and he thinks they're the sort of thing best left in their own time. And finally, on Blue Sky Social, Chinny Vision thinks, with tongue firmly in cheek, that Holiday on the Buses is the best film ever. A 57-year-old Reg Varney goes on the pool with his family in tow, including his mum, who gave birth to him at the age of 11, this being a reference to Doris Hare being only 11 years older than Reg Varney. He mentions other highlights to watch out for, including stunt double Olive throwing the luggage into the river, the deck chair Blakey is pulled along on, clearly having wheels underneath, and all the different expressions on the faces as an out-of-control bus goes under a bridge, including the kid who is clearly laughing. Also a shout out to Olive's candy floss beard, which Chinny loves. A few more mishaps in the production get a mention also, and apparently the ITV4 showings cut out a lot of the rude parts. It is, however, a glorious time capsule with some genuine laughs. If you have any strong feelings or memories about On the Buses that you'd like to share, go ahead and post them in the comments. And if you'd like to be featured in a future Retrospectives video, follow me on my various social media platforms, where I'll be asking for your comments whenever I'm working on something new. You'll find all the links, as always, in the video description. Well, we're going to finish off now with a few memorable moments from the TV show, but first I'd like to thank everyone who submitted their comments, to thank you for liking and subscribing, and of course to thank you all for watching Retrospectives.
Yeah, hang about, I've got an idea. Right. Hold that, sir. Yeah. Make me a bit of mistletoe.
What you doing over there by the ladies' loo?
Ah, well... I saw Joyce and Edna going there when we drove up. We missed them on the way in, but we'll catch them on the way out, though.
Lecturers lay about you. This mistletoe's coming down out of it.
Oh, Inspector, you're waiting for me. Come on, Merry Christmas.
I keep turning it and nothing's happening.
That's because you haven't got it in gear, my little beloved.
Oh, shut up. I know exactly what I'm doing.
Oh, there's the milkman. Shh, don't say a word.
Well, what's the matter with you?
If he knows we're here, he won't pay him. Shh.
Well, what's the matter? Haven't you paid him this week or something?
I haven't paid him for 6 weeks. Get out of sight.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. How much do you owe the man?
£6.10.
The trouble with Olive is, you see, she has to keep having a nibble in between each throw.
Yeah, look. Looks as if Arthur's having a nibble and all.
Drinks are coming.
Won't be long.
I don't know how you can make such a fool of yourself with that woman.
She happens to like my conversation and finds me rather stimulating.
Well, wait until she finds out about your operation.
We've built up.
Will you shut up, you two? We're supposed to be playing darts.
Divorce and for desertion.
Desertion? Blimey's only been gone 6 hours. You have to wait 3 years.
Oh, she can't wait that long. She's got to get remarried while she's still got her looks. That's her that did it.
Hey?
Inspector, sack that woman for immoral behaviour.
Mrs. Butler, if I started sacking the staff for immoral behaviour, there'd be nobody left in the depot.
Anne, I can't find the little hole.
You do it for me. Arthur always used to do it for me.
I bet that's the only thing he ever did do for you.
Olive, love. Inspector Blake's offered to take you home.
Oh, how
nice of him.
Yeah, so when he arrives, I'll be taking the Sandra back, see?
Oh, all right,
Yeah.
Stan.
Did you get rid of him, darling?
No, sweetheart.
Blakey, I thought you were seeing Olive home.
Yeah, well, she got halfway and she realised that you had the key. Now you can see her home, mate. Go on.
Here, I'll tell you what, love. Here, have a nice piece of cake. There.